a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for July 25th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game S Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, unions, delays, and closures are all changing the video game industry really fast, but I promise to never change or improve. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game S Mornings. It's Jeff Bakalar, everybody. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Why did you sneak in? I'm not going to improve at all myself in that. I don't understand.
Mostly just to save myself from any work or introspection or ever thinking about any of the consequences of my actions. That just seems like a hassle.
You gotta, I know you're joking because I know you fairly well, and I know you continue to become a better person every day. And I think everyone should strive for a similar sort of ambition. Try and get better every day, people. It's hard, right? So what if your dad's a huge pain in the ass and you just want to shoot him into the sun? You can be better. He's not going to change, but you can change.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying a little bit being introspective. That's what's like, oh man, think about all the things I could have done better. And you know what? Let's actually try to do it better so I don't feel this way again. And it's like, that it is a hassle, but it's worth it. Wait a second. What's this here on my calendar? It says, "Happy birthday, Marty." What? What's going on there?
Oh, wow. Oh, where's the birthday boy?
Where's the birthday boy?
He's in the hallway looking at himself. Listen, folks, he's 15.
Wow.
He doesn't even know where he is, let alone that it's his birthday. Hey, crossing your paws for 16 is all I got to say.
Hell yeah.
I guess he's the same age. Is he the same age as Giant Bomb? Oh, almost. He's almost. He's
15. Giant Bomb's 16. So yeah, he was a little puppy early on.
He was never a puppy. He was born 95 years old. Okay,
just a grumpy ass tobacco pipe in his mouth. Yeah,
it's whittling wood.
Well, happy birthday, Marty. Do you guys celebrate? What do you do? I mean, obviously, I get it. The dog doesn't know. He doesn't care.
We don't do shit. We're not idiots. I mean, come on. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but your animal doesn't know its birthday, and it doesn't know when you celebrate. Look, it's okay to do it though. I'm just saying, if it's for you. When you do that for a pet, it's for the family, and that's totally fine. It's okay. I'm just saying. It's a waste of money is what I'm saying. Do your thing. I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum today. It's a happy day because I'm on Game S Mornings.
Let's do it. All right. We should explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the World of Warcraft development team has voted to unionize. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Blizzard's World of Warcraft development team has voted to unionize. That has been announced. Over 500 members of the team have joined the Communication Workers of America, and Microsoft subsidiary Blizzard Entertainment has recognized their union. The World of Warcraft Game Makers Guild becomes the first wall-to-wall union at Activision Blizzard and the first and the largest at Microsoft at a Microsoft-owned studio. What we've accomplished at World of Warcraft is just the beginning, said Eric Lanham, test analyst and member of the World of Warcraft Game Makers Guild. My colleagues and I are embarking on a quest to secure better pay, benefits, and job security through a strong union contract. We know that when workers have a protected voice, it's a win-win for employee standards, the studio, and World of Warcraft fans looking for the best gaming experience. Through our union, we're ready to tank any obstacles, heal any wounds, and DPS through the challenges ahead. Together, we will ensure a full tier set bonuses. Okay, now they're just being nerdy about it. I didn't know that. That was going to happen.
We get it. Unions are great. We know.
I mean, listen. It feels like the dam's broken. We just had it was like Bethesda, right? Like huge swaths over there. They've had unionization, and now World of Warcraft, the team that makes that game, that has had millions of subscribers paying monthly fees every month, huge amounts of money coming in for going on almost 2 decades now. that is really massive. It does feel like if they can do it, I think we said this about the Bethesda one either earlier this week, last week, anyone can do it, right? That's what it feels like.
Yes, anyone can organize and form labor empowerment. Here's the thing that I've started to worry about a little bit. In my anecdotal experience with people close to me and just across other entertainment industries, because this is such a thing that's been a shock to the sort of like capitalist corporate system, right? There are places in our world where like retaliation has become very much a thing, and I just brace for that kind of stuff, right? And because you had to like work backwards to get labor empowerment, like there's no mechanism in place to sort of like combat retaliation, right?
Yep.
And I just think like there's this notion of like, yes, empowerment is great. It's obviously great. It's obviously how it should be. But I also, in that never-ending quest to sort of like level the playing field, I think part of that unionization has to also have things in place to like prepare for that kind of thing and lay out language and details that prevents retaliation as well, right? It's one thing to unionize. It's another to be like, oh man, are we about to just, face something else on the other side of this?
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of states. There might. I'm not super familiar with it. I know there's like probably federal protections against retaliation, but I think you're right. It's always better to just have it like written out in the contract itself to add to those protections. We're seeing it in all of the last summer's entertainment Hollywood strikes, right? Like projects, film, TV, everything has been so slow to greenlight after this. It's just very, and you can, what else can you chalk that up to, right? Right. And I think we're pretty sober about this. I think most people understand what this means. I think there will be skeptics or bad faith arguments that will come about when, let's say, the World of Warcraft team has like layoffs in the future. Like, oh, well, great. What good did the union do? And it's like, no one's going to pretend that this is the solution to every problem facing the people making video games. This is just one of the tools that they can deploy, and a very effective and one of the strongest tools they can deploy to get some protections, to get some transparency into how the business that they work for operates, so that they can get more of the profits that they're creating. It's just it's dialing up improvements across the board. It's not going to stop a company from laying them off in the future 100% of the time.
No, and that's the thing. Like unionization, which is a hard word for me to say, apparently, does not like carve. It does not like end capitalism, right? Like it does. It just, again, I think things like this are empirically good because they normalize it, right? And that's what needs to be happening. Is the normalization. Clearly, I mean, just to have back-to-back unionizations at big studios, it's like, oh, something has shifted. The vibe, the vibe shift is upon us, and everyone's jumping aboard because it does feel normal. Yes.
And Tom Payne and Chad points out retaliation usually comes before the union is formed. Yeah, but I might think of like examples of the cast members at Disneyland unionizing.
Yeah,
exactly. And then like, oh, they're like shutting down a lot of those things that those cast members worked on because it's like, oh, well, now you guys are unionized. We have to pay you more, so it costs too much money to do this thing. It's like, okay, maybe that we should have like had some explicit protections against that sort of thing in the contract before we put it in place. But you just can't account for every scenario. You can't account for unintended consequences. What you can do is say, hey, how much money does this company make? Let's see the books, and then let's talk about what's fair. And of course, how can you argue against that?
Exactly. I mean, and you're right. Like there's always going to be a way. The labor laws are designed to not protect labor. Right? Yeah. Like it is always at the advantage of the employer. The employer is always at the advantage with the way our labor laws are structured in this country. So like you are always, this is operating from the disadvantage, right? POV, and normalizing it will slowly move the needle in the right direction. Now
we're talking about teams inside of major corporations. This is pretty big. This is a World of Warcraft team. A lot of people working on that. 500 people, around like over 500 members of the team have joined the Communication Workers of America. That's almost like twice the size. I think it's more than twice the size of the Bethesda team last week. But we're still talking about teams inside of big corporations, the way it works in, other mediums like film is, hey, if you want to work as an editor in this entire business, you are joining a union. It is a unionized industry, not just a unionized company. Do you think that we're on the pathway to something like that happen? Because that still feels very far away to me.
Yeah, it does, because you're having, like you said, these sort of like sectioned off unions within corporations, right? So it's like, what sort of flexibility and transitive kind of property is there? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but
me neither.
It's better than what it's been, right? So baby steps. Baby steps.
We'll see. I'm hopeful. It's like, God, we were saying this for so long, and now it's here. It's impressive to see. I think obviously a lot of younger people coming into the workplace can take credit for this, I believe. So well done.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's move right ahead. Humble Games lays off all employees and carries on in name only. This is from Nathan Grayson at Aftermath. Today, Humble Games, publisher of indie hits like Signalis, Wizard of Legend, and Temtem, informed employees of layoffs that will impact the whole company, leaving its staff of 36 all jobless. Laid off workers took to LinkedIn to relay what management told them in the morning meeting, which Aftermath has obtained a recording of. In the meeting, Steve Horowitz, president of parent company Ziff Davis's technology and shopping division, pointed to long delays and rising costs as pervasive issues faced by Humble Games. He went on to say that Ziff had attempted to sell Humble Games twice before, but that neither attempt created significant demand, and unfortunately, neither attempt created a viable offer or an outcome. As a result, he explained employees are being let go, and remaining projects will be carried over the finish line by a third-party company called the Powell Group. We continue to see the costs rise, delays continue, and during the sale process of our attempt to sell over the past couple of months, we've seen an additional millions increase in development expenses, coupled with even longer delays in bringing titles to market, Horowitz told employees. Given all this, we've made a very tough but necessary decision to restructure all of Humble Games with the goal of providing the best cost-effective way to make sure that the games see the market, our existing slates sees market, and supporting the developers that are associated with it. As such, we're going to be using a third party to help us manage the slate moving forward, as well as the back catalog. As a result, all roles within Humble Games are going to be impacted. Yeah, so I mean, this is essentially a closure, because it's what's happening is the team that was working at Humble Games all gone, and sure, the name's still there, but it's being moved to this new outside corporation. So it just feels kind of like a sneaky way to save money. And really, it sounds like what happened here is Ziff didn't understand the business that they were getting into, right? They did not understand that publishing video games was going to be an expensive endeavor that would have complications and delays. And it's like, oh boy, how did you not know that? That's like basic 101 stuff. This kind of speaks to a lot of times these corporations don't know the world that they're entering, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of this. I mean, look, I think the sort of original spirit of what Humble Games was maybe not crystal clear. I think it's, yeah, these acquisitions happen, and it's just a lot of like, I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's a lot of this back of the napkin math where it's like, hey, this plus this equals more dollar signs, and it's like, how are we going to integrate? How are we going to actually make this work? I don't know. And as a consequence, obviously people lose their jobs. So yeah, I think I didn't realize how long ago they were acquired. I thought that was more recent.
Yeah, when were they acquired? Yeah, it was
2017.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, IGN acquired in 2017. Humble Games was a publisher spun off from Humble Bundle, a charity-centric storefront that was acquired by IGN in 2017, which has not been impacted by today's cuts. So if people are thinking about Humble Bundle versus Humble Games, Humble Bundle, the thing you go to spend $5 to get 30 games, and half that money goes to charity. That's generally how it works. That's going to continue as it was and has been for a while. Humble Games, a publisher that first did start as a part of Humble Bundle, that was working with developers to create games and release games. That is what's being affected here. Yeah, I think that you're right. Like, getting into the indie publishing space is it's challenging. You need, and like you said, it needs to be crystal clear what your sort of voice is, what you're trying to accomplish, why people pay attention to a game that has Humble Games written on it. And that's hard to do. I think there are a couple publishers that have shown it's possible, obviously Devolver and a handful of others. But Humble Games is not one I was ever really thinking of actively. And then, they have a couple of delays and they're like, oh, wow, this sucks. That's way more money than we were expecting to have to spend. And it's like, well, yeah, but that is also just so normal for this industry that how did you not anticipate that? And I think it's pretty simple that Ziff Davis it's what you said again, like that this plus this equals more money. And the person in charge of mergers and acquisitions, their job is to make the merger happen. Their job is to find something where it's like, hey, if we put these two numbers together, it does get bigger. But that's another department's job to actually execute on that. And those visions sometimes, and I think probably often, can misalign. And when the reality actually hits the pavement, and they have to figure out how to turn this acquisition into a profit generating thing. That's got to be complicated, and then the person that put the merger together kind of washes their hands of it and goes to the next merger, right?
Right. Especially, when it's some sort of we either sold it off again and we either broke even or came out in the black a little bit. And that's a win. The machinations of acquisitions are so sort of they're petulant and not fully, thought through. It's just, again, all that hangs in the balance are just people,
right.
They're just people.
Just 36 human lives and their families.
And houses and shit and apartments and friends and family, whatever.
Yep. It's, and it's frustrating. I think people will see that Humble Games name now and they'll kind of understand what's happening there. But I think that this is what a lot of employees are saying who have spoken on the record now about what's happening here, that this is just about saving face. They will ship these games that they're contractually obligated to ship. And then I think Humble Games goes away. I don't think they're going to we're outsourcing to this third party company for the long term. No, they'll do what they need. Do what they need to do, and then they'll pull the plug on it, and that's it. All right. Next story here. Stalker 2 has been delayed to November. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Stalker 2 has been delayed again in a new video titled Really Again? Developer GSC Game World announced that the game will now launch on November 20th instead of September 5th as previously planned. We know you might be tired of waiting, and we truly appreciate your patience, it said. These 2 additional months will give us the chance to fix more unexpected anomalies, or simply bugs, as you call them. Stalker 2 is shaping up to be everything we envisioned with the launch nearly here, and we are incredibly excited to share more with you, it added. To give you a taste of what's coming, we're thrilled to announce the Stalker 2 developer deep dive video, which will be released on Xbox Media channels on August 12th, blah, blah, blah. But this is a one where I'm curious. I'm always intended to play the original Stalker. I never got around to it. I'll try to find some time still to do that. Stalker 2, I've been eyeing, is that actually going to come out? And then it was at Summer Game Fest. Jeff Keighley, I Am 8-Bits thing is Microsoft doesn't have a huge presence there, but the one thing they did have there was they set up a kiosk, a little booth for Stalker 2 and let the developer go there. And that was an Xbox. I don't know if Xbox is publishing, but they're definitely deeply involved and it's on Game Pass and stuff like that. And that was the one thing they had there. It's and I could see it playable. I didn't get to play it myself, but it's there and they're showing it off. It's a real video game. It's not something that's oh man, what is happening here? Is that thing actually going to exist and come out? So it's real. They're showing off. They feel ready. And I believe them when they say this is about squashing bugs. And yet it feels like such a big game for a team that has dealt with so much adversity. Obviously part of being in the Ukraine when the war started and having to move around and try to find people a way out or a way to work on this game while dealing with the realities of the world. And when that's happening, it feels like the game has got to fall into the background. But no, they've been able to continue making it, and it seems like it could actually come out this year still. But I don't know. How does a delay at this point make you feel about a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've seen this kind of story before with a game like this that has this sort of tumultuous, rounding third kind of situation. I mean, we're talking 10 weeks. It's like a 10-week delay, and I don't think you go out to market and say 10 weeks and I think obviously delays happen, and everyone is, we want that. We want a game to be the best it can be, but and come out when it's ready, and that's fine. And I don't think there's any sort of like resistance there. I think it's telling though, like a 10-week thing seems to me like that sounds right for what you're saying this is for, right? 10 weeks is not a long time. So, and like you said, this game's pretty much cooked, right? It's pretty much,
it looks like it, seems like it,
baked and ready to come out of the oven. So I buy this. I think that first delay was sort of like, okay, that's what we expect. A lot of games do this, right? We've seen this where like you get that first delay that's like 6 months, and then you get another like kicker at the end, which is like the delay encore, right? Where it's like, all right, 10 more weeks and then we're good. You don't like, I will just say this, like, I feel like this has now reached the back end of that runway where it's like, okay, now you kind of can't do it anymore.
Right.
Just again, you can do whatever you want. Of course, I want you to be happy with the thing you're putting out.
Right.
But I feel like the sort of pattern that this game has taken, sort of says like, okay, we're sort of at the end of the delays now. Like when you do that last one, that's only 10 weeks and it's not a long time. Okay, now we all expect to be on the same page here.
Especially when you're like, it's 10 weeks and you're talking about, okay, well, why is that happening? We're just squashing bugs. We're just squashing. And okay, all right, that makes sense. 10 weeks feels like some time to squash. I don't know, a few hundred, a few thousand more bugs. I have no idea, but
who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But what it says to me is like, there is no reason for concern beyond that, and there should be no real reason for a massive delay following the smaller one. And then if that does happen, I think that betrays a bigger problems that we didn't know about. But
certainly this feels like the we were backing out your brand new car off the ship and we scratched it, and we just gotta like buff out that thing that we scratched. It's still here, the car's fine, nothing is fucked here, everything is cool. That's what that feels like. And selfishly, this game's got to come out this year for my fantasy,
right, of course.
Like I think that's the elephant in the room that no one's really talking about.
Right, and they should be.
So, yeah, exactly. So thank you. Thank you to GSC.
What's that? I can never remember the thing, because I want to say, I think you should leave. Thank you for being here. Thank you, or thank goodness you're here.
Thank goodness you're here.
I'm so pissed. Because like we get in Slack and Lucy's like, I think this might be my game of the year, and I immediately run to Fantasy Critic to try to get it. My team is full, so I couldn't get it in time. So,
oh yeah, well, I hate to see that.
So I said it, and I immediately saw like Jan and Dan's face go and like start typing.
Yeah,
as
I did
well.
It too.
Okay,
I put some ungodly bet on that game, so we'll see.
Yep. All right, let's see here. Let's go with let's actually, you know what? Let's take a quick break. When we get back, I will hit you up with more headlines right after this. Oh, that's the wrong button, everybody. Let's go back and fade to black. We'll just cut that out later. There we go. All right, we are back. We got a few more headlines. First time doing a podcast, everybody. Just stand back. It'll be all right. Hunt Showdown 1896 announced for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Crytek has announced Hunt Showdown 1896, the next chapter of its player versus environment extraction shooter for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. It will launch on August 15th. From this date, the original Hunt Showdown will also no longer be playable on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Hunt Showdown 1896, basically just an updated version of the game, but it does have a new map, and they're making a lot of other improvements. I find this a little bit confusing because the Hunt is a very popular PvPvE game that has had its dedicated community for a very long time. And I know that it has a lot of players on PC. I'm trying to like gauge, is this version of the game, this new one, Hunt Showdown 1896, a way of getting it to run better on console, to maybe improve the audience on console or something like that? It seems like that's what they're going for. But that idea of having a game on consoles that does work and replacing it and having that one be no longer replayable and replacing it with something new Do you think that's something that can work? Is that a good strategy?
Well, what's a game that's done that before?
I'm honestly trying to think. I'm not sure. There probably is an example, but nothing comes to mind immediately. It's maybe Destiny. Overwatch 2 is a good one. Overwatch 2 was, here's Overwatch 2. Overwatch 1 is no longer playable, but Overwatch 2 is still basically just Overwatch 1. They're like, hey, no, we are replacing that, and this is very similar, but it's a new map. So I guess what it's kind of similar to in a way is when like Fortnite replaces its maps and does big updates. But I know something about this still just feels odd. I believe Hunt Showdown is Counter-Strike 2 is another good example. Are people gonna have to buy this game again? I'm like that's where I'm at with this. It's like, is this gonna have to be if you own the original Hunt, do you have to get this again, or are these free to play games? I'm like double checking on this right now. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it is weird when games just sort of like overwrite themselves like that.
Yeah,
like
I get that that's possible, but it is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And I tell you what I do like though is a subtitle that's just a year, like 1896. We're just gonna change the year. It's a whole different setting. Everybody get ready. Stand back. We've thought of everything. It's gonna feel very different. The Hunt came out at that time that like PUBG and Fortnite was getting big. And you're going to go on these maps, you're going to explore them. But its claim to fame was the PvPvE aspect of like, yeah, there are other players in the world, but there are NPCs, enemy NPCs that you need to worry about as well. Enemies, monsters, and it's been sort of pretty big ever since. Like Warframe 1999 and the Order 1886. That Order 1886 was just, that's the name of that game. It wasn't like a sequel or anything, but I guess that's a good move too. I'm kind of curious about this. What I'm seeing here is I'm going to check this out and kind of see what's going on with the Hunt. CryEngine still out there. They're still making games in CryEngine.
It'll outlive all of us,
apparently. Let's hit this next one. EA cancels unpopular Apex Legends Battle Pass after following an outcry from fans about the changes. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC, who had a lot of stories today. Tom the Machine Ivan. Electronic Arts has revised its plans to shake up the Apex Legends Battle Pass experience following a backlash from fans. Starting with Season 22, there will be 2 $10 Battle Passes per season rather than one, and EA was planning to remove the ability to purchase premium Battle Passes using the game's virtual currency Apex coins. But following an outcry from players, it's confirmed on Wednesday that this will no longer be the case when Season 22 launches on August 6th. You've spoken and we've listened, EA said. That famous line. With the release of Season 22, we will restore the ability to get premium Battle Pass for 950 Apex coins. We recognize that we could have handled the Battle Pass changes better. That's on us. You'll be able to earn Apex coins via the Battle Pass to get future passes, it added as well. While Apex Legends Battle Pass currently runs for the whole season and has 110 levels going forward, each season will offer 2 Battle Passes, one for each split, with both including 60 levels. With the launch of Season 22, the first premium Battle Pass will be unlockable by completing a series of simple in-game challenges. Starting with the second split on September 17th, premium Battle Passes will be available for 950 Apex coins. Basically what happened here is they were trying to change things up so they could have these seasons of the Battle Pass, split them into 2, charge a little bit more money for them, and make it more difficult to use like game experience to get these things for either a reduced price or for free. And the reason they were doing that, backlash, obviously, is because Apex Legends, while it has a lot of players still, tons of players, it is not growing. It's not bringing in a lot of new players. So they're shifting. We're going to make more money from the audience that we have. And the way we're going to do that is however they rolled this out. But the fans that they have hated it. And I think they were like, they definitely were like kind of quiet about it for a few weeks over at Respawn, like trying to see if they could still get away with it. And it became pretty obvious they weren't going to be able to do that. And so now here they are reversing the changes. And I think this is the big issue with these live service games, Backlog, where the companies repeatedly have to see what they can get away with.
Totally.
And that has happened a bunch of times with Apex Legends, right?
Yeah, it's just operation, right?
Yep.
It's just that game operation. It's like,
Right.
all right, I think I can pull out this fucking heart. Nope, I can't. I can't do that. I got to put that back. Yeah, I mean, it's just like this, trial and error kind of thing. That is probably not a healthy way to kind of like have a business model operate, but
Right.
that is the nature of live services. There's plenty. Look, when you're not growing, this is what's gonna happen. So, I just think the dynamic, the relationship between player and developer is it's weird. It's weird that it is like this, and you have to do this dance where it's this constant like, would you be okay if we like took that away and made you pay for this? And how would that operate? Is that okay? And I don't know. That doesn't feel great.
And it's the $5 footlong thing, right? Where it's like you have this way of people understanding your business so much that you made a song about it and they get used to it. And then when it's like, oh, the reality changes, well, that song is still stuck in everyone's head. $5 foot long. And then they go and they see that the sub that they were paying $5 for is now $11.95. And they're like, wait, what the fuck? I really feel the difference here because I am so used to one thing. And I think when people are so engaged with your game for years, and that's the audience we're talking about them trying to exploit here, they are going to be extra sensitive to any changes that where they notice an increase or a big increase or even a small increase. And it is like kind of like leading from behind a little bit. And I think that the EA is always guilty of this. People are pointing out like Project $10 in like the thing where it's like, EA would put a online pass in their games, and you'd have to like when you buy the game new, you would have to redeem that. So when you sold the game, there was no online code. You would have to go online and, all right, I bought this game used, or a friend handed it to me, and now if I want to play it online, I got to give EA another $10. It's and people hated that too. It's okay. Well, EA constantly trying to do things that people hate because they're trying to see if they can get away with it. Doesn't feel like a good long-term strategy.
No, and after a while, you become this like repeat offender, and you get associated with that kind of maneuvering. And I just think, I guess the other thing too that I don't understand is like, how are you not able to like read the room in a way that that you have like community outreach and you have people sort of like embedded in the kind of like community trenches, and just be able to kind of like project what the reaction to something like this would be? Like, how is that disconnect so invisible, right? Like,
and I wonder, it's like, well, we know some people are going to be upset about this, but we need this to they need to understand we need to do this to make this game make sense for us. And it's that never really works, does it? That trying to be like, let's make the consumer understand our needs. It's basic how to win friends and influence people, right? You can't ever present something to someone without couching it and here's what it does for you. And there's none of that here. None of the stuff. And they do a little bit of it, of like, hey, we're breaking up into two pieces because now we can focus more on each half of the battle pass. It's going to improve each half of the battle pass. And what's happening is the people that play the game can see through that and understand that's not what's really happening. They're very savvy. That's the problem with trying to exploit your most engaged, most savvy users. It's a bad move.
Yeah, very short leash there.
Yes. Apex Legends, I've said it every time, but I'll continue to say it. It has tons of users, but it is on like the back half of its life. They are no longer ramping up. They're sort of just slowly ramping down. That is why that like Titanfall Legends content got canceled. That was going to be like the sequel content that they were going to put inside the Apex Legends browser or launcher, I should say. But they'll continue doing seasons for a very long time. It's just if you were interested in getting into Apex Legends, hearing stuff like this has got to be the kind of thing where it's like, I don't know, maybe I don't need to check out that game. I'll go check out something else.
Yeah.
Concord has no battle pass. You own Concord. Concord doesn't own you. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. With the beta over, Firewalk Studios is revealing that what players can expect with the launch of Concord, along with what's coming after the game's release. Notably, one popular element seen in many online shooters will be missing on purpose: a battle pass. Mark DeRitter, gameplay animation director at Firewalk, shared this decision on Twitter by adding, "You own Concord. Concord doesn't own you." DeRitter, for his part, previously worked on one of the most popular games in the world with a battle pass as a developer at Raven Software on Call of Duty Warzone, per LinkedIn. While there is no battle pass, Firewalk is promising new free gunners, maps, modes, and more after Concord launches on August 23rd. Of course, Concord also isn't a free-to-play game. It's $40. So having selling a battle pass as well could maybe look a little strange. But there's plenty of games that have a premium price that do have a battle pass. I mean, I think like Call of Duty is, there's the free-to-play side of Call of Duty, but I think doesn't Call of Duty like the $60, $70 game also have a battle pass for its online multiplayer?
Yeah. The all the multiplayer stuff, absolutely, yeah.
Right. So
and I think now it just sort of bleeds into Warzone somehow.
Right. It's kind of across the board. It's it applies to everything. I am at a point where it's wait, do I like having battle passes in games? Most of the time, I think if it's a game that I'm only half interested in, it's a distraction and I don't like it. But if I'm deeply into it, it does give me something to do. I don't know. How do you feel?
Battle pass is just like fancy animations.
Yeah, right. It's like flashes on the screen. It's like slot machine shit.
It's slot machine shit. 100%. So, I mean, and I watch my kid do it with Fortnite, and I'm just like, oh yeah, and I would do it sometimes with Call of Duty. So I get it. They've gamified this kind of progression thing, and there's transactional, value attached to it, and I don't know. I think it really works I think when it's done in the way that scratches that right part of your brain, I think it's a very, very difficult thing to detach a user from.
I mean, I think it's Skinner boxes, right? And those are proven to be very addictive.
Totally. So I just think but that said, I think it's like lightning in a bottle to make it work and have longevity and have it be this constantly, rewarding thing that a player feels good about, wants to participate in and pay for it. So, it is this thing that everyone seems to chase, but very few developers are able to execute in a way that it's a win-win for the player and the dev. So
and it's so touchy and user specific. I think Halo Infinite launched, and one of the issues with that game that a lot of people had is disappointing battle pass content. Right? It's we want the battle pass, we want it to be better. It's okay. Well, how would you feel if they took it away completely and there was no battle pass? And I don't know how that audience would feel. I don't know how they're going to feel here. I'll say that I think for Concord, this probably is the right move, at least in this moment where the game feels like it's not going to be able to compete with a lot of the other free-to-play shooters, and it's not free-to-play. So it's $40. Maybe you position this game as spend $40, have a fun couple of months playing this game, maybe, and then move on. What's the harm in that? We got our money, you got your fun time. Sure. It was a transaction, and everyone walks away happy. We're not trying to be your next hobby. We're not trying to swallow up your time and keep you engaged so we can keep you on the treadmill of giving us more money down the line. I think if they can harp on that a little bit, it benefits them a little bit, but it is maybe a couple percentage points difference in improving the outlook of this game. I don't think it suddenly changes how this game is going to perform in the market. Concord, of course, right now, the biggest news for that game is didn't have a lot of excitement coming out of its open beta, and very few players were playing it on Steam when it was in an open beta. It capped out at a couple thousand players concurrently. Meanwhile, Marvel Rivals, not fully out yet. I think it's in beta, and you have to watch people on Twitch to get a code, has thousands, tens of thousands of players playing that game. So it's a strange time for Concord. Have you played did you touch any of the betas? Did you have any interest in doing that? Because I only did it out of obligation. How about you?
No, I don't think these games really speak to me. I don't, maybe that's just a personal sort of taste thing that, kind of I gloss over with. There's, that kind of thing is just not what I'm interested in. I only have very the pie chart of my gaming sort of appetite right now. That type of game that is completely occupied by what I play with Dylan with Fortnite.
Right.
That's all I have room for there, and my live service stuff. All that energy is getting invested into that, and outside of that, I want to play the indie stuff, and I want to play single player stuff.
Yep. And I think Concord has an uphill battle with everyone for various reasons, but I think a lot of people kind of feel very similar. Like, I'm happy playing either Fortnite or whatever other free-to-play shooter I'm playing, and Concord tried to sort of shoulder it, you bump its way into that space. It's going to be like, it's just going to hit a brick wall, and it feels like it already has.
And let me just tell you something, like, Fortnite is really good. Like, I'm going to say that out loud. Like, it is excellent.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I
Like,
mean, it really hit me when the Spider-Man web slinging stuff got in there, and I'm like, this fucking rules. This is so cool. I
just feel like it still has this sort of, like, stigma in some circles.
Well, they put the Cybertrunk in there. All right. So.
Oh, no, I thought they put it in Rocket League.
I think they put it in both.
Oh, that's fucked up. Yep. I'd like to walk back something I just said.
Number one Cybertruck fan, Jeff Bakalar, here to defend his buddy Elon.
Oh, man. Can I just tell you, like,
please,
we saw one for the first time a couple weeks ago. And there, you know, if you don't know, there is this sort of like under 13 mentality of like the Cybertruck is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, I bet.
It's just because kids are fucking stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. Then my kid saw it in person and laughed out loud. Like, rolled the window down and pointed at that person and did the L thing on his forehead.
No way, really?
Yeah, I swear to God.
Oh my
God.
To God. Be careful, okay? You're gonna get shot. Road rage.
I with what? A plasma rifle? Like, what are we, you know, like, okay, right? Like, motherfucker, it is the most unrendered car in history. It is so dumb looking.
It's really dumb looking. It's too long. I think, listen, there's a lot of problems with it, but when I saw it in person and I saw it make its turn, it just looks stiff and odd and uncomfortable. It looks like a car that is uncomfortable in its own body.
Look, and like, obviously, you know, there's baggage with that thing, right? Elon Musk is a total fuckface. And, you know, like, you see that car, the best way I could describe it is like, you know, when like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like the cartoons in the real world, like you're just like, oh, that looks weird. That's the feeling. That's what it's like. You're like, oh, what?
Yeah, this N64 like, car in the real world. It's like, yeah.
It's like, is there some weird dimensional rift that thing came out of? Because it's in our world and looks out of place. And anyway, that's cool.
All Elon does is make money, except for the 7 consecutive quarters in a row where Tesla has lost money. Other than that,
that's all.
Yeah, that's all.
He makes brilliant buying decisions, not motivated by just petulance or anything like that.
And just runs a great website.
He's awesome. And X is now the best thing ever. I love having to
the everything website.
You know, remember, like, I will tell my grandkids about when Twitter was like, yeah, you could just like trust people on there. Right. You could just,
there was a 2-year period where it's like, no, yeah, they're doing a good job of like getting rid of misinformation and Nazis. That's nice. And now you can't even imagine that world.
And now any prick who has $4.99 can just be an authoritative. My God, we are the dumbest motherfuckers in history.
Yep. And it reflects us very well over there on X. All right. Last couple of stories here. Lego Super Mario World and Yoshi set have debuted at Comic-Con. This is from Jordan Midler of VGC. A new Lego Super Mario set, this time depicting Mario and Yoshi from Super Mario World, has been shown off at San Diego Comic-Con. The set, images of which are circulated on Twitter before an official reveal later today, was discovered as part of Lego's booth at San Diego Comic-Con, which takes place this weekend. I think I have an image of this somewhere. How are you on Lego these days? Because I keep wanting to buy them, and then I don't have any time to build them, or I do not take the time to build them, I suppose is how I would put it. But boy, this looks really cool.
Yeah, Dib and I are like all in. We've done some serious shit. We did that huge DeLorean that he then fucking dropped, and now we got to do a lot of surgery on that thing.
Dumbass kid.
It's like, how do you do? I will get to that. Maybe that's like a dump truck conversation, but.
All right.
Yeah. So I love Lego. I think it's brilliant. I really do, aside from like the questionable plastic overusage. But I think the Mario stuff, for me, it just hasn't landed. Like
sure. Are you seeing the images of this? I think this looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think display stuff is great.
Yeah.
Right, like that's what I want. Like, I don't think anyone's ever cracked the nut of like functional Lego stuff. you know?
Right.
And I think
You
that's what
talk about like
original
the Mario sort of play sets.
Yeah, like when Mario had like a
my young
barcode
kids
reader
really
in his
like
ass.
that stuff, but they they play with it in a way that is not intended by Lego. So they're like finding their own fun in a way you do with any toy.
And that's great, right?
Yeah.
That's the spirit of Lego, right? Is to just be imaginative and creative and like live in the buildable world. I think what they aimed for with the sort of like, oh, you can make Mario bounce on a thing, and like to me that lands real short, especially watching young kids play with it and then be almost instantaneously bored and disappointed with it.
Right.
So this is a display thing that we're looking at here with
and
Mario
it looks like it's got a crank here, so you can make like Yoshi's feet like go back and forth, and that's it.
Awesome.
It's like the NES, right? The NES build that was
NES
great.
Is an engineering marvel.
Yes.
Like,
that's very cool.
What a brilliant demonstration of like the true ability of that thing.
Yeah.
Right? There you go. Make that face, baby. That's where it's at.
Crank the Yoshi Mario and your NES, everybody. Let's go.
But this is great. I'm going to be all over this for sure.
Yeah.
This is great. I think the functional stuff doesn't work for me. This stuff, display stuff, it's great.
Of course, with any light side choice, you have to have a dark side, and that has led us to Shadow the Hedgehog bust, which really just looks like Shadow the Hedgehog's head on a spike.
Yeah, it looks like Sweet Tooth. It's like the car ornament, right? The van ornament Sweet Tooth. Like, it just looks weird. Oh,
the chat's pointing out he looks like he's in pain. Right, it just looks miserable, and I don't know. It's very funny.
Lego don't do circles well. So.
No, yeah, that's a good point. That guy's head's just a circle with some spikes on it.
That's okay. All right.
Listen, Sonic fans, I guess you get something too. Good luck with that.
Win some, lose some, right? What can I say?
Shadow the Hedgehog. There he is. He's going to be. It's the year of Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm hearing. So, time to get down with that, I suppose. All right.
It is weird that like some of his fur is like the underside of Lego that's exposed. Like that's peeking behind the curtain in a weird way, right?
It's
like
weird, yeah.
Aren't you not supposed to see that? Isn't that always like, oh, that's the underside of
right?
Lego.
You're supposed to like complete it by like something should be on there, but it's like no, they're saying like that is the furry texture, I suppose. Yeah, it's weird. Okay. Like the inner ear is like the underside of it. Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, it looks a little.
This feels like one where they're like. Sega shows up. Hey, can we get some too? And they're like, yeah, we'll put the C team on that.
Just drop a box of miscellaneous brown, red, and black pieces.
Yeah, here's some leftovers.
Figure out your Shadow character, and we'll settle it for $79.
Shadow the Hedgehog? That's not real, is it? And then Sega has to be embarrassed.
That's awesome.
Okay, last story here. You can. Awesome. It's incredible. I want to see one of these in real life. If anyone actually ends up getting a Shadow the Hedgehog, let me know. You can basically play a new Fallout game right now. This is from Luis Joshua Gutierrez at GameSpot. Team Folan, the indie studio working on the highly anticipated Fallout London mod, has announced that players will finally be able to explore a post-apocalyptic London starting today, July 25th. Although the drop may seem a bit sudden, Team Folan has been teasing it since last week. The studio announced via Kotaku in its Discord that GOG gave the mod the green light and was in its final stages. Then on July 24th, Team Folan project manager Dean Carter released another statement to its Discord that read, "Stay safe and remember, mind the gap." The message was accompanied by a link to a song called I Just Can't Wait for Tomorrow that is featured in Fallout London. For people kind of like, wait, what is this now? A team of modders have made a whole new game inside of Fallout 4 called Fallout London.
Hey, back.
Hey, there we are. Sorry, I know what happened. It's been happening a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I've been kicking the USB cord for my Goxler.
Right.
Yes,
I was right.
Yep. I kick it a little bit.
Don't
and then
kick it. Don't kick it. Yep,
I was leaning back and I had my foot over there in the wires. I need to not do that. You touch that thing and then Windows is like, what have you done?
Windows is like,
I'm so scared.
Windows is like, oh god, I gotta reorder all of you guys now. Okay, so you're the microphone. No, you're the camera. You're the microphone. Yeah. Awesome.
Where am I? Oh god! It's like like that TikTok, the PlayStation 5 turning back on after you unplugged it. Like, what did you do? Like that sort of situation.
It's the kitchen in the Bear season 1. Like exactly. That's what it is. All of a sudden.
Oh yeah. It's just in there screaming at each other. They're very toxic inside my computer right now. Anyway, Fallout London, it's happening. Basically full conversion sequel mod. I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah, so I don't know much about it. It's built on which Fallout?
It's Fallout 4, I believe. Yes, it's
okay.
And it's set 50 years before the events of Fallout 4. The mod has placed a significant emphasis on realism and melee combat and features voice acting from Neil Newborn, who was what's his name in Baldur's Gate 3, Colin Baker from Doctor Who, Sylvester McCoy from Doctor Who. It's really impressive stuff. They've done a lot of work on this, and like I said, they were going to release it earlier this year. Then that Fallout 4 update happened, so they delayed it.
Right on.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing you get from the modding scene where they really can just go all out sometimes, and I'm glad they are able to do that. It's also very good for the video game industry because it's going around this morning on like development Twitter of a lot of people saying, if you want to learn how to make games, don't go do YouTube tutorials for Unity or some bullshit like that. Learn how to mod, because that's much, much closer to what it's like to make a AAA game.
That's interesting.
Because you're going to be working with tools that are already existing. You're going to be working on a small corner of a game instead of like building the game from the ground up, which is much more likely going to be what your job is going to look like. So if that's what you're interested in, and also it helps because that's the sort of way that people learn so many things. Writing fan fiction before you write your own stuff.
Sure.
And kind of having a lot of stuff there for you, and then you can look and see how people did it, and then that can inform how you do it going forward. So yeah, very cool and a very neat thing, and I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, Fallout London available right now.
Cool.
I guess you can, and since they mentioned GOG, it must be available on GOG. I guess that's where you can download it. You obviously will need Fallout 4 to be able to play it. All right, that does it for the news headlines. I have a poll question, though, that we'll bring up. First, I'll just bring up the Shadow the Hedgehog again, because why the hell not?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there he is. Let's hit refresh here and see. Okay, would you play another Mario plus Rabbids? I'm going to say yes. And 45% also said yes. 55% said no. We did that because the lead has left that studio. Probably not going to get another Mario plus Rabbids, but I would play one. And then we also asked, will you watch Michael Bay's Skibbity Toilet? Beckler, did you hear about this?
No, what?
Michael Bay is producing or directing a Skibbity Toilet movie, and they're also pitching a television show. They're trying to, it's here. It's upon us. The Gen Alpha have announced their arrival, and they want us to know that the thing that they care about the most, what's important to them on the Gen Alpha scale, is Skibbity Toilet.
So I just think
14% said yes, 33% said no, and 53% said, what are you talking about? All right.
I'm very in touch with the sort of population that is saying this and into what this is, and I know what it is too, just by virtue of being very online, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, totally. Dibs, 10, 9, 10, 9?
He's 9. He's 9.
Okay, so that's what, third, fourth grade?
Yeah, he's going into fourth. I think like as far as I'm aware, that boat has also sailed. It's not a thing.
Interesting.
I don't understand These are, it's like giving like the Hawk 2 girl
that one's crazy. Whatever.
But I'm just saying,
I'm glad she's getting paid. She deserves it because who cares? If anyone deserves anything. But
that's fine.
Right.
But my point is not the quality of the thing.
Yes.
My point is the brevity of it all, right? And like how fleeting everything is. And like I don't think Skibbity has legs. I think it's a fun sort of like joke that was around for 6 months, but like I don't know, people are just not doing that shit anymore.
Yeah, they did include it in the Variety story where they announced this. There was this chart they included to sort of as a point of comparison to other big media brands. And it was like, here's like how many views on YouTube DC, Jurassic World, Marvel, Star Wars, The Fast Saga, The Wizarding World of Harry Potter, NBA, and NFL all get. And then here's what the channel that has the Skibbity Toilet videos does. And it like shot up to the point where it's like it was orders of magnitude, hundreds of times bigger than any of those other ones. And now it's definitely crashed back down, but it's still like 5, 6, 7 times more popular than any of those things in terms of raw views on YouTube. So they're probably like, okay, clearly it has died down to the point where it's no longer this fervor, but there is now a dedicated audience and maybe we can get in there. Now, I think you're still mostly right, Bacalar, that this is a flash in the pan and there isn't a lot there. It's just a meme.
It's a meme. And look, like I understand the calculus, right? Like if there is a projection of like, hey, we could just do a smash and grab on this thing and it's gonna, like then I guess you're gonna get like a 2-week movie, production. I don't know. Like, how do you justify it? Don't forget everyone, who's like a Skibbity person. They're under like 15 and they don't
I'm
have
a Skibbity person. I'm a Skibbity person.
Disposable income. They don't have buying power.
That's true. Right. That's right.
Don't forget that. I mean, I think all the new Jurassic Park stuff sucks also, but like, there's boomers who are going to pay money to see that shit.
You're right. But let's step back and say in fairness, like the most popular thing in media right now is to take stuff from the 80s and 90s and remake it for old ass people with money like us. So letting the kids have one thing right now that is new from their culture, it's bizarre, but whatever. Have your thing. Yeah, we're not going to stand in the way.
Totally not interested in standing in the way. I would love to just, I'd love to rubberneck this whole thing and just sort of like,
same.
Watch it go by on the parkway and just be like, what the fuck happened over there? Jesus, like that kind of thing. So go for it, Michael Bay. You seem perfect for this opportunity.
All right. 5 days ago, the Defuck Boom channel, which is where you get your Skibbity Toilet content from, uploaded Skibbity Toilet 76, parentheses full episode, 8 minutes and 11 seconds, and it has 14 million views. So it's like, that is right. That is normal, very popular YouTube channel stuff, right? How many views was that Fred kid getting before he got a movie, or the Angry Orange movie? Right. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Right. So I'll say at the very least, I think this is the shit that they make in Gary's Mod with this, or however they're making these things.
It's funny. It's definitely funny.
It's crazy. It's fun. Crazy, It's funny, and it's like these giant epic mech battles with massive toilets. It's weird and interesting. I just wonder how they turn it into a movie. But Michael Bay seems like the right guy to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. That is the poll questions from yesterday. We have another poll question, but before we do that, Beckler, what do we have going on right now that we could tell people out where they could find us on the internet, where they could find some of us in person, like San Diego Comic-Con? What do we have going on?
Yes, we're hosting a panel in San Diego Comic-Con with Tamor, Lucy, Jan's going to be there. A couple friends from other fandom properties are going to be discussing like the best video games that should get some sort of like
it's like
show adaptation.
The next video game that should get adapted into a show like Fallout, basically, is what they're doing. Yeah.
So if you're out there at SDCC, go check that out.
Support our team. Get out there and show the team some love.
We've got other stuff popping off. We'll be doing some dump truck later today. And what do we have planned for Friday?
We also might do some Marvel Rivals today. I'm like just kind of in like talks with Sean to figure that out. I asked for more codes. if we can get some, I have one. Maybe we'll play some Marvel Rivals today. But tomorrow the plan is to do anime party. Is it Demon Slayer? Everybody, Demon Slayer party. Yeah, that's what it is. So there's a Mario Party basically that is based on an anime called Demon Slayer, which I'm sure a lot of people are like, this guy sounds a million years old, because I am. And we're gonna play that. So Dan's got his code. That's gonna happen. You're playing too, Bacalar.
Yes, I'm excited to jump into that. Also, I know we've been teasing it for like what feels like months now, but we are on the precipice of releasing a huge merch drop.
Yes, we got a lot of work's gone into this, and it's been a lot of fun. But yes, it should be happening very soon.
Yeah, huge merch drop. We're also going to be doing like a summer bundle thing, as summer is.
Hey, you still got time. Summer's going to go into September and beyond.
Well, it does. There's 2 months officially left of summer, right? So like we're not even halfway through it, and that's going to be really, really cool stuff we've never ever sold before. I don't want to like drop the hints just yet, but it's really cool stuff. And I think we're going to have stuff that's like available individually. And then if you want to bundle, I think it's like 4 or 5 summer themed products together. There's like a discounted price for that as well. So that will be coming literally any day.
Yep.
I'm actually when we hang up here, I'm going to check in on the status of that.
Yeah.
And we will send that live.
Yes. And I got to check in on the status of the image I was supposed to create. So we'll get all that stuff handled and up and at 'em for you all. Definitely check that out though. When we have the details though, we'll drop it in all the places, Discord, social channels. We'll talk about it on our shows, things like that. All right. Any other housekeeping that we should take care of? Yeah, it's just going to be most of the normal stuff in those shows that we mentioned. Definitely check out all of that. All right. New poll question I have right over here. How do you feel about battle passes? Love, like, dislike, or hate? Those are your 4 options. We'll get that up on the YouTube, the community channel there. If you go to youtube.com/@giantbomb, click the community tab. You could vote in this poll. If you also go to the live tab, you can find most of our stuff there. Of course, if you just go to youtube.com/@giantbomb, Turbo Sean's done a good job of reorganizing everything and presenting our new stuff right there up front, as well as like stuff like Metal Gear Scanlan that's been recently uploaded there. You can find all that stuff right there at the top. So pretty good work. You can find all our stuff. It'll be good. And then, of course, more of us, giantbomb.com, more of us on twitch.tv/giantbomb.
And we'll do one more secret hint. We're figuring out PAX West. It's very close.
It's close. It's close.
It's probably gonna happen.
Yep. Okay. I'm excited.
Tell anyone. Actually, yes, tell everyone.
I got some ideas about a panel for that, so I'm excited. All right, Jeff Bacalar, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This has been the highlight of my week so far.
Well, the highlight's got to be that 5-second time in the New York Times Mini. Come on.
Okay. Yes, my very authentic and legitimate score. That's right. 5 seconds on the Sunday.
On the Sunday one, yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and happy birthday, Marty.
Yeah.